Here's a good one. So this was a question that was in the comments on YouTube, and it was from a guy who said, "Both of my parents are very narcissistic, and I fear that I myself have picked up certain traits of narcissism. Does this run in families? I don't want to be narcissistic. I don't want to be manipulative or power hungry like my dad. Is there any hope for me?" Great question. And I've encountered similar questions from people. We actually had a similar question, I think, earlier on in the chat about the boyfriend, right? Um, but I get this question. People ask me this every now and again that they're like, I feel like I'm a covert narcissist and I don't want to be this way. Can I change? I hear narcissists can't change, but I think I'm a narcissist. Can I change? So, and there's a couple different questions within this question, but the problem with narcissists isn't so much their behavior, which again, don't get me wrong, like their behavior is highly problematic. It's the fact that there's not a lot of insight into their behavior. There's not a lot of accountability about their behavior, and there's not a high desire or motivation to actually change their behavior. So for those reasons, that person is a million miles away from being even open to changing because they don't see that they have a problem. So any of us, narcissist or not, if we don't see that we have a problem, then we're not going to be motivated to change it. So just like we were talking about earlier, if you have a person, let's just personality disorders aside, that's anorexic or an alcoholic or, a shopaholic or, addicted to gambling or even spends too much. They don't even need to have like a full out, thing going on. It can just be, if it's even a little bit problematic, if they're not motivated to change it, it's not going to change. Kind of bottom line, right? So if you're seeing behavior within yourself, you're like, you know what? I do not like that. I do not want to be that kind of person. This is how my father was. I do not want to be that way. If you have that insight into this is problematic and you have that desire to change it, absolutely, by all means, work towards changing it. So don't let anybody else define you and define what you're capable of doing. I absolutely believe that only each of us know what we're capable of. And so what you were saying about, these traits of narcissism, do they run in families? It's not so much that these traits are, like genetic. It's more of like a learned behavior. So if you grow up in an environment, because this is how we learn. We tend to mirror what we learn. So we watch by learning, we watch by doing. And so if this kind of behavior has been role modeled for us as children, and we're seeing this is how you treat your significant other, this is how, this is what you make for lunch, this is how you do laundry, this is how you handle stress, like all of these kinds of behaviors about how to function in the world are modeled for us as we're growing up. And so if you grow up with a dysfunctional home or a troubled home, then totally understandable that you're going to have a lot of those behaviors. And so now as an adult, if you're kind of reflecting on things and you're like, you know what, I don't want to be like this, then don't. And that's the beauty of it, is you see that what's wrong, you see what you don't want to be like. And I think the value in knowing what we don't want to be is the flip side of that is then it also kind of shows us what we do want to be. So if we know what we don't want, then kind of by default, we know what we do want. So if you can examine that and be like, you know what, I don't want to be manipulative. I want to have that open, honest, sincere, solutions-oriented communication, to start practicing that. And it might take some time if you've grown up in an environment where none of that was supported or nurtured or role modeled or any of that. It can take some time to relearn that behavior. Same thing, if your father was power hungry, if you're like, I don't want to be power hungry, I want to have more of this attitude of cooperation, then, I would say go for it. It definitely does help if you can have a few role models, finding people like who do I know that does this really well? And and because there's no like one perfect person, pick a few people. They don't have to, they could be living, they could be dead, they could be people on TV, they could be people that you really know, they could be celebrities, that could kind of whoever, characters in books, whatever. You can use those as kind of your role model, your mentor, and be like, you know what, I really like how this one person interacted with their child, or that they really, I like how they always had family time and they ate around the dinner table every night. Or I really liked how, this person wasn't power hungry. This person seemed like a really great dad. He was really involved. They had family game night every Sunday night or what have you. And kind of looking towards what other people are doing that you like to kind of repattern your behavior, if that makes sense. Lots of love to you guys. You are not alone. You are not crazy, and you really can move forward and heal from this.